Hey, this is SharonRolph with reading my book. This is the third event, Fresh Courage in Retirement, Finding Purpose, Essence, and Fulfillment. And today's chapter 2 of my book, Conserve Time, Let Your Feet Follow Your Heart. Boy, is that a hard thing to do. Haven't always followed my heart. And it takes a lot of courage, but hey, I'm the queen of courage now. So it is getting easier for me. So let's see. I want to put my screen in such a way that I can see what's going on here. All right. Conserving time. Now, this is a kind of a lesson, a big lesson about time, using time actually in a constructive way. And so listen up here. I've long held a distaste for commercials and advertising. To me, it borders on brainwashing. Yes, we might need new information and repetition, and in your face distraction is mostly offensive to me. You know, I heard you the first time, or it's a temptation maybe for that I'm already trying to ignore something, like temptation with snacks. And using loud, fast talking people assures me that it's your priority and not mine. In fact, in 2020, I found even the news could feel jarring and unwelcome. Besides the isolation, home alone, and canceled plans, life was frustrating more than ever. Now, as I'm focused on writing, the distractions and Black Friday ads are everywhere, making it very tough to focus. Conserving your time and attention from wasted distractions to focus on what's important is what really matters. Focus is healthy. What's the point to conserve time when we live with time affluence? First, and a major point is to combat boredom, depression, or feeling lost. Is sending emails to your grandson what matters? Daily, weekly, monthly? Is learning your new instrument or language what matters? You decide. Is contributing to your community, being seen, visibly present, and even virtually what matters? To me, it's healthier to trust and believe that my resources of time and money will work out fine. Sure, it's trusting the process without fear. I've been reminding myself often that when angels appear in the Bible, their first words are usually fear not, or messages from people who have died and sent back messages of, don't worry, I'm fine. Be generous with the time you spend with others. Don't hide or disappear. Sharing your garden, your viewpoint, your flowers, your stories, or feelings and wisdom usually is a delight, actually, for both of you. Now, I've been blessed with looking a lot younger than people expect. So maybe I'm not as affected as much as others who feel age discrimination, or because I don't expect it. I don't experience it. Boomers have been impacting the world and breaking the mold as we age. But retirement is ripe for massive culture change. That's one of the reasons I'm here. Where there's the opportunity or needs repository database for us to find what community would like help anyway. And What Retirees Want by Dr. Ken Dykewald, the author lists many opportunities for employers to improve their policies on aging, to take advantage of our wisdom, experiences, and talent supply. On the other hand, Dr. Ken says there's collectively 195 billion hours of leisure time a year for those 65 and older. This equates to 3.9 trillion hours over the next 20 years. Wow! Boomers are now time affluent for the first time in their adult life. Time that's looking for fun, stimulating, nourishing, purposeful, even transformative things to do. Dr. Kin's research was fascinated that Americans see retirement as a whole new chapter of life, a starting point. Now, the word consequential is defined as following a result or effect, or the nature of a secondary result. So when my mother told me helping others made them feel good, that was convincing. But what was really convincing was when she said, I'd feel good too. Consequential happiness here. Other consequences? We plant a garden for the byproduct of having fresh salads on our dinner table, right? We study for our classes so that we pass the test, learn, and get good grades. So, what could you do in pursuit of happiness? Share your garden produce with neighbors? Let's become intentional about what we're doing and could do to be pursuing happiness on a daily basis and not let it be mindlessly forgotten. I intend to live my dream life so that I'm in love with life. What is that for me? My happiness comes from the joy of unleashing the dreams of others all over the world. So many people don't believe in themselves, and I show you a way to do that. Could you begin to see a positive, consequential happiness in being a listener to your weird neighborhood kids or a senior living alone? Perhaps a consequential happiness could come from leaving a legacy, maybe a legacy of happiness, even. How about it? The American Association for Retired Persons, the AARP, and senior centers are certainly helping to improve choices, but there's room for so much more. Opportunities to solve significant problems and improve our neighborhoods. Develop activities for those who most need a break or a change of scene, like widows and caregivers. Remember back in the Peace Corps days when it was created for a whole new boomer opportunity? Now I think it's time to re-enlist. I want to see billboards asking boomers, what are you doing to advance your favorite charity? Time, talent, passion, or finances? By the same token, what are foundations doing to actively engage billions of hours of leisure time? Boy, there's a market waiting to be solved. I wonder if it's possible that you and I can help change this. If we see a need, can we become curious enough to collaborate? I believe it's possible. In fact, I think it's magical and may create new knowledge too. Look, I don't want you wasting months and years feeling aimless and bored until you find your new focus. Let's not watch time slipping away and making room for despair and distractions. I believe we each have a golden nugget inside of us that the world is waiting for. However, confusion can kick in, and we sometimes forget who we are without our job. Oh, I have my calling card here. I usually show when I say that. Um, we forget who we are without a job to go to or a task to do, and teammates and leagues to partner with. This is when you need to remember who you are, the expert, whatever, the college graduate, the bean counter extraordinaire. You are still that first chair trombone player from high school days who could wow the crowds again, maybe this time at the senior center or in an assisted living lobby. With my process and encouragement, you'll find your place to fit in, to matter, and to make a difference. To focus early on in your new season. Socially giving and contributing keeps us alive mentally and spiritually. It's true, older people may not be as esteemed as we'd like to be, or as visible or heard, but that doesn't give us a license to be silent or not try or to care. Putting in your 2 cents may be the wisdom somebody else needs to hear and help turn the tide in favor of the good. Honor your wisdom first so others can also. Now, transitions can be confusing. That's normal. And focus could be tough at times. So help yourself. Remember birthdays and anniversaries by using a calendar to schedule them. You're scheduling your time. They are important. Calendars help with focus too. Put important events or seasonal chores on a calendar. Annual exams for ears and eyes and hearing too. It helps to think of the value of time by using Stephen Covey's time management matrix. Is this task necessary, like chores? Is it a distraction, like emails and Facebook? Is it a waste, like TV and gaming and gossip? What's weird is that being productive is important, but not urgent, like learning, planning, preparing. So the value of time could be measured by the importance of making a difference or leaving a legacy or preventing someone from failing in their studies. What an achievement and satisfaction that would bring. Another podcast guest of mine was John Barnett, an executive director of the U.S. Educational Commission in Japan, exchanging scholars under the Fulbright programs and past president for AARP for Washington State. His motto was, live long but die short, motivated by a Stanford doctor's lecture. He posed a question for my audience. If you have volunteered with the same organization for several years, what makes you continue to volunteer there? Hmm. John shared his 9 suggestions for successful volunteering. You might want to get out a piece of paper and write down these 9 tips. He began by sharing, at age 60, I had a diagnosis of cancer, and I was kind of motivated to work with people who have problems or health problems. So I took a Stephen Ministries course and was a lay chaplain in an inpatient hospice center for 10 years as a volunteer every Monday. They had 15 beds, and I would make the rounds talking and listening to people. But this is pretty heavy work. So to lighten up, I decided to become an arboretum volunteer. Seattle has a very big arboretum and botanical garden as well. So the University of Washington's forestry department gave training every Saturday for 4 months, 3 hours every Saturday on woody plants and flowers, about which previously I knew nothing. It was fun to take those courses. I met a lot of nice people, led children and adults as I told them about all our wonderful plants in the Northwest. It was socializing for me, and it was less of a load. So here's tip one. Just start somewhere or try something. There are so many opportunities in America for volunteering. It's been said many times that America couldn't accomplish all the good that we are accomplishing without a lot of volunteers and AARP, which I love. Find something you really enjoy. Where do you think you might want to volunteer? Helping people with animals, walking their dog for them, or working in a kennel? Or maybe you want to do like I did. I started by visiting people in a nursing home. I found when I was volunteering, especially for people who had problems, and this could be that they are now living in a nursing home or they just had a loved one pass away, it made them happier when I could listen to them and try to help them in some way. And it made me happy to listen because I was seeing I was apparently doing some good. I thought my purpose at that time was and still is to some extent to help people who are needy. It's very satisfying. Tip number two, listen and learn. So, since I was diagnosed with cancer 28 years ago, he says, in order to stay well, I get up at 4:30 every morning to go to the health club, shower, and have breakfast at home with my wife. So I stay active and engaged. I volunteer for 4 organizations and have a fulfilling life. A cancer support group got me interested in end of life issues, where I developed a specialty in a sense. Um, yeah, in at the hospice center. I didn't have to say a lot. If you ask people, what did you do in life or something like that, they're very anxious to tell you, or what made them happy about their kids and that sort of thing. So it was really a good ear that is sometimes needed. Tip three, spread yourself around doing a variety of things. I'm also a Japanese garden guide at the Arboretum, which is fun too because I speak Japanese and it was a kind of natural thing for me. If you're going to stay with it, any organization will want you to have fun. A good volunteer organization will train you. Another advantage is that volunteering can turn into becoming a job. So spread yourself around doing a variety of things. Tip four, be open to learning even more. I saw an opportunity to be a long-term care ombudsman. There are several kinds of ombudsmen, but the kind I volunteered with, for which I took 32 hours of training that they provided at no cost to me, was to go into nursing homes, assisted living, and adult family homes to see if residents' needs were being met. A lot of times I found that they weren't being met. After a while, I became good enough that I was asked to go to the state capitol in Olympia occasionally to meet with the Department of Social and Health Services to give advice on how to work successfully or volunteer successfully in these licensed facilities, namely nursing homes, assisted living communities, and adult family homes. What I'm saying, John says, is that one of my big desires is lifelong learning, and volunteer organizations are great learning opportunities. Tip number five, consider the social aspects. I think volunteers are generally pretty nice people, and a lot of them have had quite a successful work life before they retired and became volunteers. We exchange information. One guy I met had bicycled in about 30 countries around the world, including Nepal and Switzerland. Another guy was in the Navy when they tested one of the atom bombs. I don't he didn't get radioactive, I guess, because he was 92 and he had survived quite well. I was paired up with a doctor that I had had for 15 years who had become an AARP volunteer. We got to talking on a new kind of basis when we worked together and compared our backgrounds. He didn't know much about me except from a medical viewpoint, of course. Unless you shared some of your common activities, you now learn things you never knew. Like when we learn these serendipitous moments, it's like icing on the cake, making the experience all richer and rewarding. And it's all a surprise because that's part of the reward of socializing and working with other people. Tip 6, you'll live longer as volunteering improves your health. It's been proven that volunteering has positive effects on social and psychological factors, your personal sense of purpose and accomplishment. Plus, it enhances your social network, which can help to prevent stress and reduce disease. The state, and we know that volunteering, you can lower your blood pressure. The state with the greatest number of volunteers proportionately is Utah. They're pretty healthy people. The area with the fewest volunteers is the southeastern United States. They also have the poorest health. And volunteering gets me out and forces me to be physically active. It improves his health. Tip number 7, take a risk. Columnist David Brooks said that average people feel alienated from government. I'd never talked to an elected official until I was 70. I didn't go to Olympia, to the state capitol to do anything. By taking a risk of talking to my senator, though I didn't feel comfortable, I realized I was doing something good for the adult population in Washington state. And I found out that it was okay. It led me to other political contacts. Now I go to Olympia at least once or twice every legislative session and talk to my elected officials about what is needed, particularly for older adults and in our state. There are other ways that you can kind of stick your neck out. I found out it wasn't as uncomfortable as I thought it would be as a lay chaplain. In fact, I looked forward to my weekly visits to hospice. So take a risk and see if you can grow from it. See if you can learn from it. If it's not your game, then try something else. What goes around with that is to get out of your own comfort zone and continue to grow in a way you might not have even planned on. I say it takes a lot of courage to transition into retirement, doing something new and continuing to learn. You're in charge of that. Look in the mirror. That's who's responsible for that. Tip number 8, anything is possible when you help others. AARP is leading in cybercrime and fraud prevention. The organization helps people to be better drivers and get insurance discounts. Then there's a AARP tax aid. These are volunteers who are trained to do simple tax returns for people for free, particularly for a lot of immigrants who don't speak English very well. They look very happy because it was done and they didn't have to pay for it. We also have information on affordable housing, public transportation, employment. I'm teaching people how to do advanced directives. So if you go to the website, https://create-the-good.aarp.org/ or https://aarp.org/volunteer, You will have an opportunity to see what's available in your neighborhood and how far you're willing to travel to volunteer. So there's two databases right there. Tip 9, you get a chance to improve the quality of life for vulnerable people. As an ombudsman, for example, I spoke to an administrator about an elderly resident ashamed to eat in the dining room due to her having no teeth. She had no family and needed someone to intervene as her advocate. She was able to get proper fitting dentures, eat real food in the dining room, and socialize with other residents. You have the power to make the world better. Try it and see. Now, John Barnett's words of advice are so powerful. By now, I hope you are inspired to choose to focus your time freedom and ward off boredom and aimlessness. With so much time influence now, are you willing to use this abundant resource as a valuable tool for good? Like gardening or teaching others to garden, like tutoring children because they are our next generation, says Woody Clinard, my podcast guest and tutor of 17 years. His first students are now graduating from high school, but were at risk for becoming dropouts, which results in becoming a service worker or on welfare. Invest time. If not in your nuclear family, find one to adopt. David Woodard uh, Woody Clinard is rich with memories of making a difference in a stranger's lifetime. Contentment. Wow, what a feeling. All right, here's something else to take notes on is I always end my chapters with actions to take. So one, make a list of your skills that are transferable and can be used in a variety of ways. For example, communication skills can be used verbally, writing, and managing. Analytical and proper project management can also be used in a variety of ways. 2, do what you did for charity. This is the quickest way to get involved in something outside of yourself after you retire, thereby saving time until something else intrigues you, advises humanitarian Cynthia Kersey. And number 3, consider the following. Are you in a growth mindset or a decline mindset? What intrigues you about retirement? And consider how could you become as curious as a 3-year-old? Now, counterintuitive is purpose gives you more time. 61% fewer nights in the hospital, 31% fewer doctor visits, and fewer cases of dementia. What's your purpose? It's worth finding out. Thanks for listening today, and I'm going to be reading these each Monday and posting them online. So conserving time in such a way that you're investing it instead of being distracted with nothing. Thanks for watching.